Finally, it happened. Sam Bankman-Fried arrested in the Bahamas, charged with wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud conspiracy, and money laundering. So those are the charges against Sam Bankman-Fried. Of course, there's much more crimes that he committed over the years, not only with FTX, but Alameda Research, mainly Alameda actually. FTX was just a playground for Alameda. That's why he created FTX in the first place, so that he could trade at Alameda in God mode without having a liquidation price. He could go underwater and not close his position. That's why he created FTX, because if he traded on Binance or on BitMEX, he had to have money. And if he created his own crypto exchange, that was not needed anymore. So as long as people kept their crypto on FTX, nobody would see the fraud that was happening, because he was using customer funds as margin in his own crypto exchange. It's completely absurd, and it makes me so angry, because the mainstream media was always telling how great he was, how he was the savior of crypto, all the lies that they told. And even after the FTX collapsed, they still treat him like, oh, he didn't know what he was doing, it was a mistake. The media does not have any journalists left. It's just absurd. At least CoffeeZilla, which is an actual journalist, for him to admit the obvious fraud that everyone who's paying attention and following the story knows. It's so in your face, it's so obvious, of course it was fraud. According to this lawyer, she made a tweet here that he's looking at 612,000 years in prison. I think that's an appropriate time for him. Apparently, the US asked the Bahamas to arrest him, and there might be an extradition coming soon. That's very interesting. Let's see what's going to happen. I think that they're going to throw him under the bus, even if he's just going to be arrested for a short period until all this story is gone and people forget about it. People are speculating that Caroline Ellison, the girlfriend of SBF, she was spotted in New York after the collapse. I think it's absurd how she can just enter the country without getting arrested. The US justice system is a complete joke. But anyway, she might have thrown him under the bus. Zero Hedge even made a post, enough with the SBF BS, I am an idiot, too dumb to be a criminal, media world tour. That's perfectly worded there. You know, the commingling of assets is a fact. There's no denial. So why is he not in prison before? Why did it take so long? I think Klaus Schwab is very pissed off, because FTX was not supposed to collapse. They put all those World Economic Forum partners pumping money on FTX. We had BlackRock, we had Sequoia Capital, hedge funds, venture capitals, and so many other World Economic Forum partners. And all these people propped him up. The whole media was behind him. And he still managed to screw up. That was not supposed to happen. FTX was always a fraud, but it was not a Ponzi. It was not supposed to be a Ponzi, at least. I'm both happy that he's arrested and angry because that didn't happen before. And the interesting thing is that he was scheduled to testify in front of the House Financial Services Committee, and that's not going to happen anymore. So maybe they did that so that he didn't have to explain himself. We don't know what's going on. My suspicion is that Klaus Schwab designed FTX to be a fifth column to get control of crypto from the inside, and SBF just completely screwed up. Anyway, we will have more news in the coming days. This is the official statement. But now we need to talk about Bitcoin. I haven't talked about Bitcoin in a long time, and we need to go and look at the charts. I made the Fibonacci here, and the reason I did that is because today, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time in the US, we will have CPI numbers, so US inflation coming, and tomorrow, Wednesday, we have at 2 p.m. the FOMC meeting. So those are two massive events that will trigger scam wicks up and down as usual. With the Fibonacci here, we can see the levels to look for. So Bitcoin is very underpriced, and it basically didn't catch any break in the past year. So I do think there is a lot of space for a good recovery if we can break the 17,700. And if we do that, the first target would be around 19K, if not 20K. But if the movement is really powerful and the numbers are good, the Fed pivots or something like that, we can see the 22,000, maybe even 24K and we have this massive gap here to recover 28K. Now, of course, this is still really far away, but I just want to mention these targets. If we have good news today and tomorrow, we could be looking at these numbers around here. On the other hand, if the numbers are bad, if inflation keeps going up, if the Fed keeps raising rates at the same pace with no end in sight, we could be looking at the first Fibonacci extension at 11,500. I believe this is still not the bottom. We did have a lot of volume, but this was the FTX crash, by the way. But I'm still not very convinced yet that this was the actual bottom. I think we have more to fall. I'm thinking about 10,000 to 12, if not even lower than that, maybe 7,000 in the worst case scenario. But I did buy some calls because I think there's a good chance that we will at least close this U pattern here in the coming days, if not in the coming weeks. So I decided to buy some cheap calls just in case, I don't want to miss out. It's like a lottery ticket or something, just for fun. So this is just a quick update with the recent news of SBF being arrested, CPI numbers today, FOMC meeting tomorrow. This is going to be a crazy week.